has been very low from those individuals, and we expect it to be the same way with the second look. This bill also will be very beneficial to our fiscal situation right now in our state by easing up that overcrowding that we have in our incarceration system, and how much we're spending on especially our geriatric population. As you know, in the Senate, it was supported by Senator Samuel, and one of the reasons why was because it has that population with inside of this bill, those older individuals that our state are paying for medically just to take care of. And so again, the Second Look Act is...
We're working on a repeal of the death penalty a decade ago.
Yeah.
We've become aware of people who are earned a second chance.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And I just stand here as a representative and a lived example of one of them. Again, like I was said, I was 18 years old at the time when I was incarcerated, and I came home at the age of 39. I was charged with first-degree murder, actually. And we were able to successfully prove that that was not the case. But at that particular time, as you know, in the early 2000s or mid-2000s, there were a lot of young men who were prosecuted and sentenced to life sentences that when you actually look at the cases, just the cases alone, not even looking at whether they changed, you'll see that it was over sentencing. Those sentences were, far beyond what they should have been given at that particular time if we look back at them now. But more importantly, what we're trying to do is show the change of the person. To show that those individuals have changed their lives like myself, and there's so many more just like me who are ready to come out and serve the community, who are ready to come out and be a solution to some of the problems that we have in our community.
I will vote for the bill.
Thank you.
You gotta come to the House floor, but
Yes, and we're hoping that it does. We're hoping that it does this year. As you know, another connection that I have just along with this bill, and I'll let some others speak as well about immigration and our youth, but I was also a youth who at the age of 17 in Prince George's County, I was arrested for a crime I didn't commit. I was just out there, and when the police officers came and did an investigation and spoke to the community members had identified me and several other young men. I was locked up and arrested, and I was not allowed to speak to my parents. I was not allowed to have an adult present. I was interrogated by the officers as a juvenile. And then I was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and sent to jail, and I was in an adult jail in Prince George's County. And so when you talk about, today, if our state is going to say, okay, if a person is 9, we're going to deny them of those Miranda rights. If a person's 8, I can't imagine. I'm a new father now. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I can't imagine my daughter making a mistake or being involved in something that caused her to have to be in contact with law enforcement, and then I can't be down there and be present while she's being spoken to or talked to by an officer. I believe that's absurd, and that's just common sense that we would want to have our juveniles protected in that way, let alone that, keep them away from the adult system. Why would we want to put them in a place where they could not only be harmed, but at the same time be in a place where they can be influenced, especially our young men from our urban population. So I mean, we know that right there is just, it should be common sense that we would want to protect our juveniles from those things like that, and also lessen the population of our African Americans that we have. As we know, 70%, the most in leading other states, especially states like Mississippi. That's again, astronomical numbers.
Not somewhere you want to be.
Yeah. Just think about that. Make up 30% of the population. However, we got 70% incarcerated. That's a problem. So yeah, we're just here advocating for those bills. And I'd like to speak. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Sarah Davis. I'm a resident and I'm a clinical social worker in Baltimore City. I work with kids and families who've been through trauma, and some of the adolescents that I work with, I think, would be directly protected if some of these things happened, right? I think about some of the kids that I work with who just under stressful situations, they're going to say anything to just get into a safe situation. And so to not be able to talk to your parent, to not have an attorney present to really help, I feel like that is so important. So the attempts to repeal the Child Interrogation Protection Act, we really hope that you'll defend against those. And then the automatic charging for all, kids come to me because they've already been through trauma. And then when I've experienced kids being locked up in adult jail, sometimes that's the most traumatic experience they've ever been through. When they come back to me, I have a kid who had experienced a shooting. She was shot herself in an accidental thing, but it was the incarceration that she experienced, and she's not even 18 yet. You know, that was more traumatic for her. And a 17-year-old kid I worked with who had significant developmental disabilities and really did not understand what was happening. He witnessed someone in his cell die of an overdose, right? After coming from an experience of having been exposed to substance abuse so much within his family system and struggled so much, only to be traumatized even further through this system. And there are so many other healing programs that could be there for youth. And so this automatic charging for all, if we could end that for youth, I think that would be so beneficial.
Could I chime in as a high school principal in Baltimore City? My name is Helene Cocagna. I also live in Baltimore City. I just want to say that this automatic charging as adults goes so much against what it is I think that we're trying to do in our schools. Our boys come into our schools and they are kids and they should get to be kids. Seeing boys walk down the hallways wearing their like anime t-shirts and knowing that they have to leave the building and be at risk of being, I mean, I have kids regularly held up at gunpoint, mugged, all sorts of things in the street, and they feel like they have to have this hard exterior. And so it's so important to the people working with these kids, and they genuinely are kids, that they not be subjected to these things, that they automatically be taken as, oh, well, you did this, you're an adult, or you are implicated in some way. I also, working in Baltimore City schools, will say that we really believe strongly in restorative practices, and I think that automatic charging is not a restorative practice in any way. And so I think it's really important that we think about how do we support our young men, especially young men in Baltimore City, but also in our state, and allow kids to get to be kids.
Where are you the principal? I know where you're not the principal.
Okay.
Because I know Cindy Harcum is the city.
Bard High School, Early College. We're on
okay.
Duplin, so we're in West
With
Baltimore.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
You're just out of my district,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been
We
there.
live in your district.
Yeah, we live,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, this is very informative for me, very helpful. So
Can I say
appreciate.
something real quick? Can I
Sure.
say something? Yes, I'm a chaplain, and so I go in and out of the prisons and the detention centers, and I'm also doing a reentry program at MCIW for the women. And I wanted to talk about the Restorative Act because the men and women that are coming out, I get a chance to work with them on the inside and also follow them as they come out. And I would say 99% of them are doing amazing things. They're doing more than people that have never been incarcerated. I'll say that. They're doing amazing things, and we need that bill looked at, because a lot of the men that are incarcerated, when those that are out now, they're actually helping a lot of the young men stay out of trouble. They're actually starting programs for them. And so what better men to do it, and women to do it, than those that were incarcerated. And their success rate is really high. So I just wanted to add that because I work along with them personally on what they're doing, and it's amazing to see them come out and just totally turn this brother over here. That's my, I mean, if you get a chance to really sit down and talk to him, you will see all the amazing things that he's doing. Unbelievable. You know, for the amount of time that he's been out, the short time he's been out. So,
Can you speak for a minute
yeah.
to what you've done?
Well,
That's
I only been out 4 months. I ain't done much yet.
Okay.
It's gotta be
Yeah,
going.
but you do have two other individuals that are formerly incarcerated. Both of these men have just came home, and again, they're out here now, just getting started working with the community. But I've been home now
I work
since
for the peace team.
Yeah, 2002 myself. I mean, excuse me, 2022. I came home in 22, and since then, again, like I said, I just hit the ground running and trying to first connect with the community. So I started a nonprofit to help reentry individuals. To provide them peer support and navigation, especially some of the ones who had came home from our JRA population, who had did 30 years or better, you know, who really needed that help with technology, learning the phone, computer, and things like that, and getting jobs. But then I moved on to do what I was trained to do as a peer recovery specialist and help our individuals who are struggling with substance abuse. And the district I work in for OPD is Hartford County, so I work in Hartford County. And the majority of my population of individuals that I have are people who don't look like me. and they're raw, and it's a totally different background. But I went into it, you know, with the mindset of, I know what it's like to be in that place in life, you know, to be in a place where drugs had took over my young life. And so I take that empathy with me every time that I go into helping an individual who have just been locked up for, you know, some substance issues. And then I came out of that and started working with the Baltimore City Community Care Project, which I do now, which is a 24-hour hotline. We go out and do street outreach every single day. So I'm on the streets helping our homeless population who are down by McVet, who are down over there by helping up Mission, who are down and around by the Baltimore homeless shelter who can't get in at that time. And we're helping to get them settled somewhere else. I'm also helping individuals who may be on Monroe Street or other streets that we know are hot spots within inside of the city to help them get into substance abuse treatment. We're literally walking up on them saying, hey, do you want to go into treatment? You know, we can get you into treatment right now. And not only that, but follow them through the entire process. And, you know, and then working with our youth. So I'm also advocating, work with other individuals who are, you know, talking to our at-risk youth. I've been into DJS a few times, and I had the opportunity to speak to those young men there and do that as well. So that's pretty much all of the things that I've been doing now, just working with the community and trying to serve the best way I possibly can.
Thank you.
You know?
Thank you.
And we have some women in here that were formerly incarcerated as well, that are working a lot, doing a lot out here in the community.
And I think some of us also want to talk about the bills that concern immigration.
Yes.
Under the audience. We have met. I live in Mount Washington, and I'm a member of Jews United for Justice. And so there are a couple of bills that pertain to immigration. Of course, I'm the granddaughter of immigrants from Ukraine and that area. I guess it changed names several times over the period.
Well, my grandfather came from Lithuania.
Yeah, well, it's sort of, yeah,
Yeah.
Poland, Lithuania, Russia, it's hard to know which. So there are a few of us who want to talk about immigration, and the bills that we are here to talk about are HB 1006, Protecting Sensitive Locations Act. The one about Maryland values is HB 1222, and Maryland Data Privacy Act is going into the Senate. That doesn't have a House number at this point. But, you know, the public discourse at this time with the current federal administration still talks about people being illegal aliens, which is so denigrating and is not a representative of who is coming. We all know that people who immigrate really bring a lot of strength, or else they couldn't have come over to the United States. And in part, they're coming to the U.S. because of what the U.S. has done to their countries and made them economic and political refugees. So we need to protect immigrant families, make sure that the police are not cooperating with ICE, and also to reinforce the idea of protecting immigrant students going to school, that their parents are not afraid of being arrested and deported if they take their kids to school. But I understand that there's a lot more absenteeism now among immigrant children because of parental fear and the threats against them.
Can I
hope
just
that you'll support those bills, and I know Suzanne and John, is that your name? I'm sorry. Jim, sorry. Suzanne and Jim also want to.
I just wanted to speak about something, and that is the uptick in what's happening in our world, immediate world in this area. And there are 3 counties who aren't supporting these kinds of things, who still allow agents to come into hospitals, education facilities, and schools. And well, that's education, but hospitals, you know where I'm at. But when and
Faith communities. Yeah.
faith communities of faith, but what I'm trying to stress is the fact that people come to flee something in pursuit and wind up here, sometimes by hook and crook. And I have newly made a whole family of friends since 2016, and I'm grateful for them in my life. They've taught me so much. And today, standing in this crowd, I saw that we were in a safe place. There weren't guards standing around us, nor did we have to present a red card. We did our license to show that we're somebody getting in the front door. but I'm stressing that all of us take for granted this feeling of being safe. It doesn't extend, except if you walk through Home Depot, or you walk through the Giant, and I can name the Home Depot that I go to, and see that there's some agents, at least this was a couple years ago, wearing vests with ice on the back. And that had horrified me, and from that point on, I got involved with the Asylee Women's Project, and the Jews United for Justice, and on the periphery, but very involved with American Friends Service. So I think it's really important that HB 1006 and 122 and the other House bill, but this is protecting sensitive places. And I thank you for your time.
Certainly. No, these are very important issues, yeah.
Thank you.
There's a hearing on that particular one on Wednesday, I believe, if there's interest in learning more. So we've left some information for you, but
Depend on, I've gotta be in my committee when we have hearings, but I don't know who, well, I could at least look real quick. Let me just look for 1006.
Yeah, and 1222. Did you want to speak also?
Both covered it well, so.
I would just say about the Data Privacy Act, the idea that information is being shared without a warrant is something that is really chilling. The idea that we're not going through due process, it's in one community now, but if we choose to ignore the denial of due process of law for any group, all groups
It's
are
in
in
the
danger.
Judiciary Committee,
Right.
1006.
So I would say it's out of love for our brothers and sisters, and also a sense that it may be one group now, it will be others soon enough.
Understood, absolutely,
Very important.
yes.
Delegate Rosenberg, would you support the bills if and when they make it past judiciary and onto the House floor?
Sure,
Thank you very much.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm not a co-sponsor on the bills because they may have been seeking co-sponsorship when I was out of the office.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for
Yes,
everything.
thank you for your time.
Judiciary Committee.